You are tuned in to the Leading Edge Conversations podcast. We're about to dive deep, so strap yourself in and get ready to explore the leading edge of consciousness. Hello and welcome to this episode of Leading Edge Conversations. I'm your host, Luke Scott III, and this is the show created to bring you leading edge conversations from people who are living on the leading edge of consciousness. And our guest today is the incredible Juliette Bryant. And Juliette is an earth connector, an earth goddess. She is fully embodying and living this incredible lifestyle where she has created a business for herself that brings amazing new technologies to the world that we have just forgotten about. These are things that have been used for thousands and thousands of years, and we are now reliving them as brand new. And I'm super excited to have her here. Juliette, welcome.
Thank you very much. It's lovely to be here.
So, Juliette, we are going to have a leading edge conversation today, and there's no pressure around this because one of the things I really understand is that in every single moment, every cell in our body is changing. Every part of us changes in every moment. And so every conversation we had has never been had before. Even if we're saying similar things, we're saying them with a different energy. And the intention with this show today is to really bring forth whatever wants to come through us. And I'd love just to set that intention for ourselves and for everyone who's watching and viewing, because you're a part of this too. When you interpret our information, when you take that in, you then create something, again, that's never been created before. And so it's this beautiful cycle that we have. So I'd love for everyone just to open themselves to receive whatever is in the highest good in this moment, whatever is in the highest good for themselves, the highest good of all, and that we have some fun and create something beautiful. So Juliette Bryant, what is an earth goddess, earth connector? How does that make you feel when you think about those titles?
It was so exciting. I mean, before we started doing this, we chatted briefly and you said, what do you want to be introduced as? And that was something that's such an interesting concept, isn't it? Like, how do we label ourselves? How do we put ourselves into a container? And I used to be Juliette Bryant, Nutritional Consultant, Superfood Chef, author, mother of three. And that's great. And that fits on some level, but it's not. And, you know, you unravel and you go in. And one of the exercises I love doing is, who am I? Who am I? Who am I? I don't know if you've done that, where you ask yourself, who am I? And first it's like, you know, I'm Juliette, I'm this, I'm that. And all these labels that we've put on ourselves or that society has put on us come up. And then we start going in and in and in and in. And you keep unraveling. You know, and obviously we all get to different points, but we all are that light, that love, that consciousness that is flowing around the plants. You know, I think that's one part that I really resonate with, the mushrooms and the plants. I think that, you know, I'm in there with them. So when you said, what do you want to be introduced as? That was a really interesting concept, because I am evolving and growing, as we all are, especially at these times of change. I don't know if you're finding that, Luke, that with the chaos that's going on around, it creates this vortex of shifting, of movement, good and bad. And that really can bring up so much room for growth and change. So when I did say, well, I think I'm an earth connector, I am an earth connector, that felt really good, because that is what I love doing with people, bringing them back into themselves and into the earth, because ultimately that's what we're part of, and we've forgotten. You know, we walk on concrete with strip lighting, and we've disconnected from the fact that we are beautiful beings as part of this divine earth.
Wonderful. What an absolutely wonderful way to start. And yeah, I have done the Who Am I exercise, and it's very, very deep and super powerful. So I recommend that to everyone. And I'd love, if you're able to let us know who you are, what you come up with, how you like to label yourself. It's a fascinating exercise. I actually am just going through this with some of my students at the moment, because we're working on their branding and their positioning. And it's this idea of, how do you take something so multidimensional as a person and put them into a few words? Because you literally only have a few words to do it in, right? It's such an interesting exercise, and we always evolve.
Exactly.
I think this is a really wonderful idea, that just because you were something yesterday doesn't mean you have to be something today.
Yeah.
And it was great that I asked you that, because I know we spoke at the same event together a few months ago, and I really truly believe that you are a totally different person now than you were then.
Yeah.
And we're all living through some incredible times right now of transformation and change. And this idea of thinking that you have to stay the same, I think, is a big thing for us all to shatter. And a nice invitation for everyone to drop that idea.
I think that can bring up so much challenge for people, though, as well, can't it? In the moment when you think that doesn't serve me anymore, that's not where I'm at. But then it's like the trusting and the faith to go, but it's okay to shed that and step forward. It's okay to breathe into yourself and reclaim the essence of you on that deeper level. Because I think that's the thing, isn't it? It's as we shed the layers of identity and the layers of perceived being, what we're doing is we're reclaiming our divinity, and we're reclaiming the essence of us that we've forgotten, or that we've programmed with other things.
This idea of programming is a big one. Reprogramming. I did a talk at a conference called the Multidimensional Show last year, and it was all about, is this life a simulation? Are we living in a computer? Is this even real? And if this is a simulation, can we program ourselves? Are we like a computer? Can we update our code? Can we upgrade our DNA? Is that all possible? And the more I dive into it, whether you believe it's a simulation or not, we absolutely can reprogram ourselves. And that is a big part, I know, of what we both do. You do that through nutrition and the foods that we eat, and programming the foods, right?
Yeah.
And also through the meditations and the music that you play. I know you have so many different facets. What's your take on this reprogramming? And if we live in a simulation, is this real, Juliette? What are we doing here?
God knows. What I do know, I mean, there's so many theories, there's so many things going on, aren't there? And we can, and I've seen that a lot recently, we can put our hat on something and go, that's it. That's what's happening. And then someone else can go, no, that's it. And there's all these ideas of truth, and everyone has their individual ideas of what is truth. And people at the moment are dividing and battling because of these separate truths. And it's all a load of BS. Actually, we don't know what theory of anything is actual truth. What we do know is that we are living, breathing beings in this moment here, having this experience with its ups and downs. And I truly think that we can, when we tune into the earth and when we tune into plants, we can change our vibration massively, and we can shift what we pull into ourselves. We can shift our reality. We can shift our ability to think and perceive as well, because when you're eating certain foods, when you're living in a certain way, when you're reading certain papers, when you're watching the television, when you're in this one frame, what you're doing is you're creating this reality loop that is just being fed. And so you're feeding, what you see is confirmation bias. So you see things that confirm the information that you are being fed. So this whole cycle goes on, and it happens whether it's wherever you are on the spectrum of belief of whatever it is, we see things. It's like hearing a baby's name, and you hear this name, Scott, and you go, oh, I've not heard that name for ages. And then suddenly you hear about 6 other people called Scott, because you've opened up your perception to that thing. Or it's like if you tune into a plant and you find out about garlic mustard, and you're like, oh, I never knew about garlic mustard, that's amazing. And then suddenly all you see everywhere is garlic mustard. So whatever we tune in our frequency to is what we then get fed. So I think one of the things that is so important is that we tune our frequency into a higher vibration, into a space of love, into a space of opening. And I think that's really key at the moment. I don't know if you saw the David Icke thing on London Real the other day. The last 30 minutes, he was talking so beautiful, because it's what I've been feeling so much about, opening up into our truth, opening our heart to truth, to love, to the fact that we are these conscious beings. And that's the message that I've been getting coming through so much at the moment. This is what we have to do. We have to open our hearts to love. We have to open ourselves up to that. And we can do this on loads of different levels. One of the things that has been like jumping out at me, I mean, it jumps out at me a lot, the medicinal mushrooms, but they've been telling me we have to tune into them. They want to help us. And I know that sounds a bit like, to some people, they might be going like, the medicinal mushrooms want to help us? What? But when you start working with these amazing guys, these mushrooms like the reishi mushroom and chaga and all these other turkey tails, incredible mushrooms that are out there, what they do is they connect us so deeply into the earth. And the mushrooms have this mycelium, it's their root system, which spreads across the whole planet, and it's bright white. It's this beautiful, amazing network of light that covers the earth. And when you start to tune in and work with the mushrooms, you tune into that web of light that connects everything, that connects all the plants. The mycelium's in all the plants, it's in everything. The spores are in space, so it's connecting us to the depths of the earth and up to the cosmos. And what I feel about the mushrooms is they are really there to shift us, shift our awareness, to shift our vibration, to help us release stress, to help us to protect us as well. I've been doing this beautiful group meditation every night at 9 for the healing of the planet and the healing of our souls, our beings, to help us in this transition to shift. And we do this beautiful thing where we bring the golden pillar of light into the ley lines and spreads out into the earth. And I really got the mushrooms coming in saying, like, we want to join you, we want to help in this healing, we want to help spread this light out to everyone. And last night, what was amazing was, as the light was coming through into the network of mycelium, what then came out was the sounds of nature, all of the sounds of nature chorusing, creating this beautiful harmonic symphony, which then spread into the ley lines, which spread into the mushrooms, which spread into everything, just equalizing, balancing, retuning the vibration of the earth through sound. It's powerful.
That sounds absolutely wonderful. I'm there. Let's go. That sounds so good. I remember you came to our event and talked a lot about mushrooms, and you also brought a big mushroom with you to the event, and you also brought a big cacao plant as well, and you talked about this combination of the mushrooms being very earthy and connecting you with the earth, and the cacao being very cosmic, and the combination of these two things giving you this incredible superpower of being everything, right? And I really loved that. That resonated with me a lot. And mushrooms are something that I have personally a really great relationship with, and I think they're such a powerful teacher and such a powerful healer. And these plants, they've been used for thousands of years, right? This is nothing new. This is ancient technology that have just been forgotten about, or even made illegal, right? Even made illegal in some places because of why do you think we have this relationship where we've forgotten our plant ancestors and the spirits of these amazing teachers?
Because they are because they have such powers of transformation and such powers of opening and awareness and perception for a long time, it's like cacao, the story of cacao. I won't go into the whole story, but it highlights what you're talking about really well. Cacao was brought over by the Spanish who had invaded the Mayans and the Incas, and they brought cacao back to Spain, and the aristocrats were drinking this cacao drink, which was opening their heart, opening their third eye, opening their perception to higher realms. And they knew the magic. They knew the magic that was in that cacao. And, word got out on the street that there's this new drink, cacao drink out there. And people were rising up going, we want some of this, like, give this to us. But they knew that if they released that to the general public, to these people that they wanted to keep held subservient in this space, it wouldn't hold them. They wouldn't be able to maintain control. So what did they do? They added dairy and they added sugar, and the light switch of the cacao switched off. It's literally like a light switch. And those active chemicals and minerals in there all just went dormant. And this is why we have been put into a world of processed food, of refined sugar, of refined wheat, of not real food, of GMOs, of like this synthetic food. Because if you go out and you get nettles and you get chickweed and you get dandelions and you start vibing on those foods and you start consuming those daily, whoa, the shifts that you will have in your being are unbelievable. I'm so used to having them that sometimes I forget the shifts that happen. And my husband and I always, at the beginning of January, we do a 100-day cleanse. And it's just come to the end, but we don't really want it to end. Not that we eat badly or we do anything else, but it's just upping your game a little bit. Because I think we can all get complacent, and it's always good, no matter how much you know about anything, to up your game. It's always good to go, what am I doing and what can I do better? Where can I add in more good stuff? And not being too regimented and like strict and myopic about it, but opening up and going, what do I need? Like, what do I actually need more of? And because of this situation we're currently in, we've been going out for more walks as a family, and we've been foraging more because there's been more time. We always forage, but we've been doing more of it. And so most days we make a big forage salad and a big forage soup. And just the quantity of foraged foods that we're eating has really been shifting our consciousness, our awareness, our vibration hugely. And that doesn't mean every day is always an amazing day and that we're always like, yeah. I think this is such an important thing to say to people and to be aware of, because so many times people get in touch with me and say, oh, but you're like super perfect and you've got everything under control and it's all amazing. And in some ways, yes. And in other ways, no. We're all human beings living this human experience, and we all go through crap at times. And for me, I was mentioning it to you before, we're in a really hard situation in some ways in our house because my middle child is losing the plot with this stuff that is going on. He's such a sensitive psychic being, and he's just like an antenna pulling in all this collective ugh. And he's restricting food, which for me is one of the hardest things, because I know food is the healer that can help him. And I know that part of what's going on is being made worse by the fact that he's not eating the foods that would help him out of it. It's this cycle. So I know sometimes we all get into a space where we're not in the vibe to eat lots of nettles. We're not in the vibe to eat these things, because what that does is it has to shift and bring up stuff. So sometimes that's not okay. Sometimes it's like, that's too much. And we want to, what a lot of people do is they want to stay comfortably numb. They want to stay cocooned in a space because they aren't ready to process the next level. And by adding in small amounts of these things, we can slowly create that shift. If you want to just go and shift massively, like just start getting loads of forage food, loads of nettles, add this stuff in, and you will feel mass transformation. And it doesn't have to be painful. It doesn't have to be a struggle. It can feel a bit like because you're breaking through things, but that breaking through breaks you into just such an amazing space. And as I said, it's not like you're going to always stay in that space, because you do have dips. Before we came on this call, I was crying, just going, I don't know how to support my child. I don't know what to do. And that's really hard. And yet I can still come on and tune in and connect into the stuff that is amazing, and life is incredible. But I think we have to, social media, all of these things out there, create this vision of everyone always being like, and we have to break that. Sorry, this is a podcast, so I was doing a funny face, and I was suddenly like, no one's going to see that funny face of like.
They can imagine. Imagine.
We have to break that image of the fact that if you're on a spiritual path, it always has to be perfect. If you're a spiritual being, you're always going to be up, because you're not. Because we have these ups and downs, and the downs bring you into the next level of growth, which is amazing.
One of my big missions in life is to help rid stigma around lots of different things. Stigma around mental health, stigma around sexuality. And a big part of the transmission I think I broadcast just in my beingness is to help people with shame, and to release that, and to not be ashamed of where you're at. Like, if you're homeless, then that's where you're at. If you have mental health issues, then that's where you're at. If you're struggling right now, then that's totally welcome, because all of these things are valid. Life is a big rainbow of emotions. And if we only make the super high vibrational emotions valid, then we're going to miss out on the whole picture. It's like trying to paint a picture, but you're only using half the colors. So it's not going to be as beautiful as it possibly could be. And so, I absolutely love that. And just thank you so much for being real and sharing where you're at, because I know a lot of people listening and tuning in will probably be in a similar kind of situation. They'll have family members or friends that are not in a particularly high vibration, and they need support. So that's really wonderful. I'd love to go back to something you said, Juliette, because you said it very casually, and I think for you it's kind of normal, but this idea of doing a 100-day cleanse and going and foraging and making soups and stuff. I'm currently on a 28-day intestinal cleanse, because it's something I do regularly as well, is fasting or cleansing to clear our gut and get better gut health, which most people don't have very good gut health. It's not something that's even spoken about. And even when I meet doctors and I ask them about microbiome, and they have no idea what that is, right? And it's scary, the lack of nutritional knowledge that's out there in the health system. So tell us more about this cleansing and this 100-day cleanse, and how can someone get involved or start something like that? I know you have lots of books, and I'll post some links for your books and channels and stuff down below, but what's your advice for someone who identifies they could use a cleanse or some cleansing inside?
I mean, I think we could all use cleansing. I think everyone is at the space where cleansing is going to be beneficial. And there are so many different levels of cleanses depending on where you're at. And the first, most simple thing to start doing if you want to cleanse your body is drinking more good water. That's a really basic, start getting that water in, because without a lot of good water, you're not going to be able to flush toxins out. So that's a really great place to start. And for me, adding in... What's
good water, Juliette? Can you define good water in your terms? Because my understanding of water has evolved constantly.
Yeah, I think there are lots of different people who have lots of different thoughts about what good water is. For me, good water is spring water, ideally. I filter it as well, because if you've ever been to Malvern, there is the most amazing springs in Malvern. Oh my God. You want to drink water that is going to change your body. Go to Malvern and drink this water from the springs that are there. The Queen goes and gets, well, she doesn't. She gets people to go and get her more than spring water. That'd be funny, wouldn't it, if you show up at the spring collecting water and there's the queen just filling up my jug.
eating her nettle soup that she's just foraged.
We know homeopathics because they don't take pharmaceuticals. So spring water is how nature designed it. You know, it's come off rocks, it's been cleaned. When you drink good spring water, you feel your whole body like tingling and buzzing. You feel this like, whoa, of like electricity in your being. And that to me is such an incredible thing. When you really feel that, because it's alive. And the water we drink out of taps is dead and filled with so many chemicals. That doesn't really replicate water in any way. And there are loads of great companies out there now doing amazing filters. I've had a Nikken Pymac filter for 16 years now. And I love that because the technology then, it was the Nikken designed it to replicate spring water. So it's got magnets in there to charge up the water. It's got minerals to replace the minerals that we're meant to have. It cleans it really well. So it's a really nice thing. There's a company called Wellness Water now, which are doing really funky water. It's brilliant. So there's loads of different ways you can get good water, but the key is you want water that is mineral rich and cleared out of all the crap that we put in the water, like the chlorine and the fluoride and the birth control pills and the antibiotics and the other array of pharmaceutical medicines that everyone takes and pees out, and that traces of them are still left in the water that comes out the tap. You know, you talk about the gut being affected. Well, you look at the water people are drinking and think partially, no wonder. You think about the gut and you look at the soil and what we're doing to the soil and you go, well, no wonder there's a problem. People aren't, you know, I really feel, slight sidetrack, but it was on the gut and I just mentioned it, that what the quality of the soil, what we do to our soil is a direct relationship to the quality of our gut health. And this isn't looked at enough. Our soil is not counted as being a really important thing for our whole well-being, because the soil has been raped and pillaged. The soil has been depleted. It's been sprayed with pesticides that kill off all the bugs. It's sprayed with herbicides to stop the natural balance of growth of plants, to fix the nitrogen, to put the nutrients back in. It's really been totally abused, the soil. And so we're then growing crops and we're going to put on like 3 key nutrients into those crops and into the soil to enrich the soil. That's not enriching it. You're putting 3 nutrients. The soil is meant to be filled with so many different nutrients. It's meant to have so many bacteria. And this is the thing, isn't it? That like when you start to realize that we are these bacterial beings, we are made up of more bacteria than us. We are part of this earth. And we have to look after and care for the earth as we care for ourselves, because we are intrinsically linked. And this whole thing of self-care, self-love, that society really struggles with is shown and reflected in how we treat our earth. Because if we can't care for ourselves, how can we care for the earth? How can we care for anything if we can't care for ourselves? And so ultimately, I think it all boils back to that concept of understanding, know thyself, and by knowing thyself, love thyself, because when you know yourself, you know that you are a being of love, you're a divine being who is part of this beautiful earth. And I think that really is such an important key. Sorry, that was a massive sidetrack from water, but the soil was like, you need to talk about me.
That was a wonderful sidetrack, and I'm so on board with that. Everything outside of us is connected to us, right? Quantum physics teaches us that every particle is connected to every other particle in the entire universe by the quantum web. And so anyone who thinks that they're truly separate from what's going on outside they're missing a big piece of the puzzle. I'm reading this incredible series of books at the moment. It's called The Life and Teachings of the Masters of the Far East. Ooh. And it's truly wonderful. And I just finished reading this book as well, which is the autobiography of a yogi by Paramahansa Yogananda. And both of these books, they talk about such a similar thing. These masters, these people who truly are God conscious, who are really fully embodying it, they realize that there is no difference between me and you, that we're just all connected, that we're part of the one thing. And this gives them abilities and gifts that most people think are supernatural, when really to them, things like teleportation, instant teleportation, they say is just a normal part. Like, how could that not be possible? Of course I can materialize my energy anywhere that I want to. And when you were talking about this idea that the health of our soil directly relates to the health inside of us, that just makes so much sense to me. So thank you so much for sharing that.
We were talking about the cleanse and how we could cleanse. And,
yes.
And we started obviously with water. And I think there's a website called findmyspring.co.uk. If you are in the UK, I'm sure there are equivalents around the world when people are listening to this. And I think if people can tap into finding where their local spring is and getting that spring water and starting to have that on a regular basis, that's such an important thing to have in. I like to put in some raw grey sea salt into my water because I feel that really energizes the water and activates it when I have it. So I always put a pinch of raw grey sea salt into my water. And I think when we're cleansing, it's really important with a cleanse to get someone to help guide you in that process. Initially anyway, until you start to understand the fundamentals of what cleansing is about, and then you can roll with it. And the more in tune you get with your body, the more you know what you want. Another simple way to start doing a cleanse is I've just started doing it again, is doing once a week, just having a day of juice. So you just have juice for a day to help clear your body and get more nutrients into your system. You can get so many more nutrients in through juicing, and that's a really simple thing that anyone can do. I've got to be careful. I'm still breastfeeding my 2.5-year-old, so I can only do cleansing to a certain level, because obviously when you cleanse, you've got stuff coming out your milk. So you've just got to be careful if you are in that space. And so for me, doing once a week, doing a juice cleanse is really nice. But the 100-day cleanse that I've been doing with my husband is really about looking at doing more yoga, doing more meditation. It's about connecting more deeply with myself. It's about tuning into that inner wisdom and finding out what my body needs. And for us, it's been about going out foraging. My husband's taking lots of herbs that clear out parasites and stuff like that. I can't do that side of it whilst I'm breastfeeding, but that's what we would normally do come January, like a parasite cleanse, because there are loads of parasites around, and it's really good on a regular basis just to make sure you're keeping your system clear of those things, because they're affecting your mind, they're affecting your gut, they're affecting your nutrients, they're affecting everything, because it's another being that is communicating within your body. So just having that balance is a really important thing. And you mentioned obviously the gut, and that's such an important thing, is that we address our gut health on a regular basis. And we look at, are we getting good guys, the good bacteria going in on a regular basis? Are we keeping the bad bacteria at bay? Are we reducing fungal overloads? Because all of these things affect our mental health. They affect our energy levels. They affect our ability to absorb nutrients into our body. So gut health is so key. I've got an online course called How to Heal the Gut, which is a 4-week journey on it's a basic gut healing, which has been really effective for a lot of people.
Wonderful. I'll make sure to pop the link for that below. But what you're describing is exactly what I'm doing right now. So I'm doing this parasite cleanse. I take these special herbs and these shakes, and it's to clear absolutely everything out. So I really recommend it. I'm day 12 of 28, and feel absolutely great. And I think when people just realize that they're like a machine, right? It's like you have the most incredible sports car in the world, right? You are literally living in a Lamborghini, and we fill it with the cheapest, junkiest fuel you possibly can. And then we wonder why it breaks down, and why people at the age of 50 start needing servicing and repairs, or even younger. And in this book, The Life and Teachings of the Masters of the Far East, it says a lot of these masters, they live to be 500 years old, and they have documentation to prove this, and that this concept that we should retire at 65 and then we slowly die off is is very much something we've constructed in our society, and it's not actually the optimal way for us to live as people.
I think one of the things you mentioned, which is an important thing to mention on that, is that, you know, as we get older, our body degrades. And there's been a lot of studies into longevity and how we can optimize our longevity so that that doesn't happen. Because one of the things that happens is that there's this calcification that occurs. David Wolf is a really cool nutrition expert that's talked a lot about it, about the calcification and decalcifying the body. Using herbs like MSM, it's not a herb, but it's pine pollen basically, because that helps to decalcify the body. Because basically Steiner talked about it a lot. When you look into Steiner's work, incredible stuff, far out stuff, but really incredible. Steiner was talking about the fact that as soon as we're born, these nanobacteria, these microorganisms come into the body to start to break us down, to calcify us, to return us to the earth. And so this is the aging process. It's this calcification of the body so that when we do die, we can just be easily consumed by the earth and fed back into the earth. And so we can work to stop that, because that's not a natural state happening. We don't have to age like that. We don't have to be dying constantly as we live. So things like MSM are really good to break that down. DMSO, sulfur-rich foods are amazing for that. Shilajit. Shilajit is a really powerful, incredible thing to work with. My younger brother has been doing a cleanse. He owns 4 pubs, and he's been quite unhealthy with his alcohol consumption and his workload and all of that stuff, and he's been gradually having this awakening, and it's amazing watching it. Really a beautiful thing to see this transformation of his being. And he's not had any alcohol now for I think 7 or 8 months. It's been a while, and he's taking all these, he calls them hocus pocus potions of mine. So he's on the medicinal mushrooms, he's on the CBD hot chocolate that I make, he's on the MSM every day, he's working out, he sings, he's doing loads of amazing stuff, and he's taking the Shilajit. And what was incredible was a few weeks ago he called up and he was like, I'm really worried. And I was like, oh no, what's happened? And he said, I'm just really worried, mid-afternoon. I was like, what? And he's like, I feel amazing. And I was like, huh? You're worried because you feel amazing? I'm confused. And I had got really worried at first, because it's like I'm giving him all this advice. Oh no, something's gone wrong. You know, he's my brother. And he said, well, I have your longevity coffee drink that I make. It's this medicinal mushroom adaptogenic hot drink that's like a coffee substitute. He said, I had that, and I had the Shilajit. And he said, as soon as I have that, I feel this amazing energy in my body. And he just said, I feel so incredible. And he said, I'm just worried it's going to stop.
Nice.
But I was like, oh, okay, well, that's great that you're fit. You know, and he said, what happened was I took a little bit more of the Shilajit and a little bit more of the longevity coffee than I normally have. And this energy that just really started to transform his well-being came in. Because somehow, you know, intuitively, he'd just upped his dose because he was ready to go to that next level, and it shifted his awareness, it just shifted his consciousness, shifted his whole, like, wow. And suddenly he was feeling amazing because he was taking these foods that are reducing stress in the body. They're adaptogens, so they're helping us to deal with transformation. They're helping us to move to the next level. That's what these adaptogenic foods do, like the Shilajit, like the medicinal mushrooms. They're all supporting transformation.
Sounds absolutely wonderful. I'm sure everybody wants some of that amazing mushrooms coffee substitute thing now, so we'll make sure to post a link for that one below too. It is incredible once you tap into this energy that is available to all of us, right? We're like, I love a speaker called Abraham Hicks, and she talks about how humans are like toasters, but most of us aren't actually plugged into their mains yet, right? We're disconnected ourselves, and so we're limited in our function. We can't even do what we're here to do because we're not plugged into this source energy, this creation energy, this electricity that's available to all of us. And when you wake yourself up, when you open your body, and drinking the right water and eating the right food is such a great way. I saw this video one time of someone's blood under a microscope, and it was someone who was unhealthy, and their blood, it was hardly moving. It was very static and clumpy and like clogged up. And then they gave them something called structured water. And after just one glass of this structured water, which is like what you're talking about, this alive electric water, which is actually what I drink, their blood cells were like moving around so much. You could see the vibe, the aliveness in it again. And it's like you do feel it, right? When you just have that one glass of water or that one cup of your mushroom substitute coffee thing and one glass of cacao, you really feel the difference. I do personally.
It is, I think what you said just then about we're not, what Abraham Hicks was saying, we're not plugged in, we're disconnected, and life has been designed to disconnect us, to take us out of our power. And I think that we're in a space of time now where this message is so important to get out to people, that we need to reclaim our sovereignty. We need to reclaim the ownership over our body and our being. We need to reawaken that divinity. And we need to know that we are powerful, beautiful beings. And that's not meaning like when I say powerful, some people get that thing of like, oh yeah, powerful, I can control everything. It's not about that at all. Power is about that vulnerability. And I think we get the most power when we are vulnerable, when we open our hearts and we show everyone and each other who we really are, like who we actually are, like masks down, everything stripped away, like this is me, bare, naked, exposed. This is how I am. And one of the ways that we can do this, I think we can really plug back into our power and plug back into that knowledge of who we are, is by getting out in the earth, first of all, and just getting your feet on the ground, barefoot on the ground. Because when you do that and you have your feet on the earth, you are actually recharging your battery physically. You are recharging the electromagnetic circuits within your body. You are diffusing stress. You are releasing positive ions from your body, which cause stress and anxiety, into the earth. And you're being filled with negative ions. You're literally rebooting your system by just putting your feet on the ground. Like ideally not concrete, like proper ground, like the earth, grass, soil, but actually feet on the ground. And just spending a moment just to do that and just to connect into that is so powerful. And if you can't get to the ground and you can't get to the earth, imagine it, because our mind is such a powerful thing that can transport us, and we can really recharge just by our thoughts. Ideally, it's better to be actually on the ground, but that's not always possible. So however you can, connect into that space of the earth, that space of breath and grounding. When we do that, we can really reawaken. And that's for me why eating foraged foods is so important, because it reawakens in me the knowledge that I have power over my body. I have power over what goes in it. I have power in the fact that I am just like these beautiful plants. And I think that when you start to realise that you don't have to go to the supermarket, don't get me wrong, I don't get all my food foraged. We're growing lots of stuff now, which is really exciting. We've got loads of salads and loads of amazing stuff growing. Don't have a big garden, but every space that we can has either got medicinal herbs or food growing. But when you start to realise that out in the world around us is a whole pharmacy, is a whole refrigerator of food that we can access that is going to have such a different energy on your body. Like, you eat hawthorn leaves, like, go out now. The hawthorn is amazing. Google it first to make sure that you're getting, or don't Google it. Use some search engine, and that isn't Google. Use some nice search engine and find out what hawthorn looks like. Go and get hawthorn leaves and hawthorn flowers and eat them, and tell me how you feel, because hawthorn is the tree of the heart. Loads of scientific studies that show when you consume hawthorn berries, it works on the circulation of the heart. It's amazing for regulating heartbeat. Loads of incredible scientific knowledge around hawthorn and its effects on healthy hearts. But you energetically connect to the hawthorn and eat the leaves and the flowers, and it's this opening in this area that is so beautiful. It's like sitting under an apple tree. Apples are the same thing. They're about opening the heart. So when you can start to tune in and do this, life won't look the same.
I'm very open to life not looking the same. I think we're at this most incredible time on our planet now, this chance for us to change and shift everything. And so many people are waking up to realize that the information they've been given from their schools and their governments and the health service is just maybe not there to truly empower them, right? There's no talk about boosting your immune system. There's even talk, I saw a guideline from a Canadian government office that said, eating foods cannot boost your immune system. It said that was a myth. There's these fact checkers, right? It said eating foods cannot boost your immune system. There's no studies to prove this, right? So it was crazy. And the level of misinformation out there. So absolutely, this getting back to the wild, getting connected with nature, going and doing your own research and picking your own food, growing your own stuff. I think this is the way we're moving. And it's definitely what I'm aligning to is calling in more people who understand that connection.
And I think one of the things you said is calling in. And I think this is something that is a lesson we all have to tune into more and more. And remember, sometimes we forget it, is that we need to ask for help. Like, so many people have got into this space, and I did it for years. I thought, I have to be, in order to be successful, I have to do it myself. I have to be a mother of 3 children. I have to be a successful business person, a great wife. I have to do it all myself. I can't ask for help because that would be being weak. This is what was programmed in my being, God knows where from, for years. And so I started to unravel that years ago, getting past that. And it's not easy. And I have to catch myself now and stop myself and ask for help, because it is so important to stop and ask for help. And you can ask for help energetically. You can put out to the universe, guys, I need help and support. I want to get more into plants. I want to get more into increasing my vibration. What can I eat? What can I use? And it was amazing because I love it. I love the joy and synchronicity that can happen when you do this, because I was really tuning in, and I really got that I needed self-heal. Beautiful little plant, and that was what I needed. I needed to use that. I wanted to make some teas with it, really wanted to have that. And I couldn't find it. But it kept popping into my head, and I just put it out there. I was like, guys, universe, can you please bring me some self-heal? I really feel this is important for me. If it is, bring it. Anyway, the next day, out in the garden, and there, where I've been looking, because I, look at all the little plants that are coming up, with these self-heal, and now there's a whole massive patch of it that hasn't been there before. Absolutely incredible. I knew on some level I needed that plant. I put it out to the universe, and then boom, up it springs in my garden. Don't even have to go anywhere to find it. So when we can ask for help, when we can open ourselves up into that space of going, universe, please bring me the person or the thing or the information or the energy, the vibration that I need to shift to the next level, to move out of this space I'm in, to release the stuff that I'm holding on to. Universe, please bring me that support into my life. I'm ready to welcome it and accept it in. And that's what we have to do, welcome and accept it. Accept the support that the universe has to give us. And breathe that support into your being. Because the universe is there for us. It's wanting to help us. It's wanting to hold us. It's wanting to guide us. It's just waiting for us to ask. So breathe that ask in, and every cell then goes, yes, I'm not alone. I'm not this individual island. I am part of this beautiful cosmic play. I'm part of this beautiful earth, which has all the answers on it. It has all the solutions to everything going on in the earth.
I absolutely love that. I was doing it, as you said, I was breathing in this ask. I was opening myself. Universe, bring me everything that I need. I'm open. It's such a fantastic practice. It reminds me of something one of my greatest mentors talks about. You're aware of Wayne Dyer. Wayne Dyer is such a beautiful influence in my life. And he wrote like 44 books in his lifetime. And I've read many of them. And he talks about how in dream dimension, so when you're in dream dimension, you're asleep and you want something, it comes instantly to you. It's instant. And this is the ability that the masters have. When you want something, it comes instantly. Like as soon as you ask for it, it's there. Just like you did with that plant, right? As soon as you ask for it, it's there. And this is something that's available to all of us, but you have to understand and be connected to and open to the possibility that all of this is there for you. And you knew it was. You knew as soon as you said it that it would come, right? And this is such a wonderful awareness that I've experienced myself too. And I'd love to open everyone to that. And Juliette, I'm just feeling guided to ask you something. Is there any kind of process or journey, I guess, you would like to take us on so we can all tap into some of this juicy energy that you're transmitting and maybe get us more connected with who we really are?
Yeah, let's go for it.
Wonderful.
Yeah. Okay. So just take a moment now to bring your awareness to your breath. If you feel moved to close your eyes, then do. Just become aware of the stillness within your being. With each breath, allow the stillness to become more. I'd like you to become aware of the sounds around you. The sounds in the room, the sounds outside the room. I want you to see if you can hear in the furthest distance away. What is the furthest sound that you can hear? And then bring your awareness of your hearing inside your being. And listen to the sounds within your being. Maybe you can hear your breath. Maybe you can hear your blood moving about. Maybe you can hear your heartbeat. I want you to bring your awareness now to the sounds that are inside the earth. Allow your awareness to travel inside the earth to the sounds that are deep within the earth. Maybe you can hear the heartbeat of the earth. Maybe you can hear the movement of all the living beings in the soil. Maybe you can hear the whales. Or the robin. Maybe you can hear the sound of the trees. Bringing your awareness deeper into the earth. I want you to see, if you can see the roots of the trees and the plants, the interconnected roots, the way the plants and the trees all communicate with each other through this amazing network of roots. And within this amazing network of roots that the plants have, seeing a bright white network of roots, fine bright white roots of the mushrooms that connect every living thing on this planet together. And allow your awareness to travel into the mycelium, the mushroom roots. Feel your awareness traveling through this immense network of light covering this whole planet. Feeling yourself anchoring into that. And then allowing your consciousness, your awareness to travel up through the trees, through the sky, into space. To the stars, to the sun. And connecting to the energy of the sun. Beautiful fireball of energy. And allowing that energy of the sun to move through you. Energy of vibrance, of life force, of fire, of drive, of motivation, of passion. Allow that energy to move until it reaches your heart space. And allow the energy of the sun to encircle your heart space in this moment. And then breathing up from the earth, the energy of the mushrooms, the energy of the earth, the energy of the soil, breathing that into your heart space. Allowing the energy of the sun and the earth to combine around your heart. And allow yourself to be sat in that space between heaven and earth, between the sun and the earth. You are sat in your heart with this cosmic energy and earth energy encircling you. And breathe that energy through your being, through your cells. And from this space of deep connection, I want you to ask the universe to guide you, to support you. I want you to ask the universe to allow you to step into your divinity. To step into your true self, to step into your power. I want you to ask that you see the path in front of you clearly. You open yourself to receive the guidance and support that is waiting for you, that is there to take you into yourself, deeper into yourself. And by taking you deeper into yourself, taking you deeper into the mysteries of the earth and the cosmos and the universe. And from this beautiful space of connection, asking these energies to show you what your next step is. What is the one thing you need to do to take action on to allow you to move into this next step with ease and grace? You may get the sense of a word or a feeling or an image, or just a stillness. There's no right or wrong, just being open to receiving. And from this beautiful space of connection, I want you to send a thought of love and gratitude to your being for being here now, for opening up. I want you to send a thought of love and gratitude to the earth for holding you, to the cosmos for guiding you, to all the living beings on this planet for supporting your journey, your evolution, your connection. And now bringing your awareness back to your breath, back to your body, your beautiful body who is supporting your journey. This physical being that is helping you and guiding you and holding you every day, in every moment through your ups and downs. Bringing your awareness and your gratitude to every part of this body, this being that is here now, stepping up, stepping into themselves. And giving thanks to your beautiful breath for breathing life into you, for breathing transformation into you. And if you want to join me on my next breath in making the sound of ah, the sound of the heart, bringing you into your body and into a space of pure love. Breathing in, ah. And bringing your awareness back to this moment. And if you want to take a moment to write anything down, please feel free to. Oh, that was powerful, and I've got choking.
That was super powerful. I'll let you cough away for a few moments, Juliette, while everyone brings themselves around and writes down anything that came up. I feel very connected and moved right now personally. And just thank you so much for bringing that. I've experienced a lot of meditations. I facilitate meditations, and I've never had a meditation quite like that before. It's very unique, leading edge meditation. So thank you. And I'd love to know everyone who's listening, who's tuning in. Let us know how you're feeling. What came up for you during that process? Maybe what your action is, maybe how your life will be different now if you take that step, if you have the courage to listen to your guidance. Juliette's finished coughing out whatever came through her. This happens to me when I do sessions with my clients. Sometimes stuff has to be coughed out or like purged, right? This comes through.
Yeah, it does. And that was, when I do meditations, I wasn't planning to do a meditation. When I do meditations, I really just go with the journey that I'm being taken on in that moment. And so I was meditating that, and that was what was being given to me. And I found it really powerful. I was crying through it because I could feel so much shifting, so much movement for myself and for others. We're all on this journey, and when you truly tune into the heart and the energy that we are, it's such a beautiful thing. It really is. And I think we all need to step into that space of vulnerability, of openness so much more, because we're not taught to, we're not shown, we're shown from an early age not to cry, not to be open, not to really give our hearts to people, because we're told that if we do, we'll get hurt. But the only way we can truly connect with anyone, including ourselves, is through an open heart. And it's not always easy, and it's not always, it's not always pretty, but that it's real.
When I met my wife for the first time, we spent these 3 days together. And when I met her, I described myself as closed. I wasn't in touch with my feelings. I was a very kind of lad's lad, like if someone asked me what I loved, I used to say I love football, beer, and girls, or partying. And then I met my wife, my now wife, and she cracked my heart wide open. She asked me these questions that no one had ever asked me before. And she made me go deep into this well that I had closed off. I'd closed it off. I'd put the tape around it, said, "Do not enter this well." and she came and guided me, and I'm forever grateful to her for that. It meant crying like I'd never cried before. Those deep sobs where there's snot everywhere, really sexy kind of crying. And that was my opening, like a flower, right? That's my first opening, and then it's been continuous openings since then, and I'm hoping that there'll be continuous openings until I decide not to be in this reality anymore, whenever that is, in 500 years' time maybe, or let's see what level of mastery we get to. And I feel this excitement around it. And for everyone who's listening, I really invite you to go on this journey. And if you resonate with what Juliette's saying, please do connect with her. Juliette, what's the best way for people to get in touch with you if they want to find out more?
So my website, which is julietbryant.com, is the best place. You can find me on Facebook for now, on julietskitchen.tv. I'm also on MeWe. Have you moved over to MeWe?
I have not. I've heard about it. There's a lot of people looking for alternative solutions now as well, right?
Yeah, so type in Juliette Bryant and you'll find me. I'm on Instagram. I'm on all those kind of things. But website is probably the best way. Send me an email. I just wanted to show you really quickly. So I've got an office downstairs, which is like open plan. And at the moment, I've got 3 kids at home. So doing stuff like this is not, and my mentorship program that I run is not a practical thing. So we've created a new office space. And I just looked over after the meditation. I forgot about it, but this is one of my favorite all-time pictures. It's by Andrew Gonzalez, and it's an incredible painting. I don't know if you can see it fully. There's this beautiful light coming out of the heart.
Yeah, and wonderful. And
I put that up to kind of inform me and support me and guide me, in my work. And I did that meditation, and obviously it was all about the heart. And then I looked over and I was just like, that's so much of that space of just being held. We're being held, but our heart is bursting open with light. So I just wanted to share that quickly because it was just, yeah.
Oh, absolutely wonderful. Juliette, it's been such a pleasure, and always is. And I'm sure we're going to have many more leading edge conversations and expansive experiences in the future. And I'd just love to invite you now and give you an opportunity to close off this conversation by sharing anything that you would like to. What is really on your edge right now? What wants to be birthed through you in this moment? And if you imagine that whatever you say now, every single being in the entire universe and beyond will feel it and be able to understand it, what would you want to say in this moment?
You are beautiful. You are loved. You are whole. And you are part of this incredible earth. Remember, wake up, rise into yourself, into that beauty that you are. And trust. Trust that the way will be clear. Trust the journey that you're on. And trust that you are supported and loved.
And what a fantastic message that was, Juliette. Thank you so much for being you, for shining so brightly, for stepping out and living your truth and helping guide others on the way. It's really a blessing to know you. And I really look forward to seeing what the future has in store for the wonder that is Juliette Bryant, the Earth Connector, Earth Goddess, and the unlabelable Juliette Bryant.
Thank you. It's such a joy to be here with you and to have these conversations. I think what you're doing is amazing. Thank you, Luke.
It's my absolute pleasure. And for everyone who tuned in, thank you so much for giving us your time and your energy and your attention. I do hope you found this expansive. I hope you are now able to go forth and bring this to your world and implement these things into your reality and create a whole new edge for yourself. This has been Leading Edge Conversations with myself, Luke Scott III, and I thank you so much for being on the leading edge of consciousness. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Leading Edge Conversations podcast. Make sure to check out our other episodes where we have incredible interviews with people truly living on the leading edge of consciousness.